Hello, everyone. Yes, okay, I'm just gonna give it a minute for you all to join me, for Instagram to announce, and for, a couple of you to join me. Hello, Michelle. So good to see you here. Good morning, good afternoon from my side of the universe. Yes. Okay, how are you, Michelle? How are you today? Hi, Sarah. Thank you for joining. Yay. Okay, so as people are joining, we are doing a genetic Pathcutter update today. This is something that I do once in a while whenever I want to share some updates that I am seeing. This is energetic updates as well as contemplations that are coming through. So I just want to share updates around this month of February, right? So there is some energetic, information that will help us to navigate this month better, with ease, with deeper understanding of what's happening. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, Michelle. Oh, that sucks. I hope you get well soon. Yay. Okay. So there are a few people who are joining, who joined this community for the first time. And I just want to reiterate what you can expect from this page, my teachings, my contemplations, these live streams that I'm going to be doing. A lot of what I'm doing is primarily for the genetic Pathcutter, right? So the genetic Pathcutter is the one who is called to heal themselves, as well as heal their genetics, their DNA, their bloodline, so that they can really transform not only their lives but the lives of their family, right? So this is for those people who are feeling called to that, and this could either be someone who's actually working, as an initiated shaman, oracle, teacher, guide, coach around healing themselves and their bloodline, or someone who's awakening to the truth of who they are, the truth of their calling to heal themselves and their bloodline, and to change the world, really. Changing the world through changing the experiences that you are going through. Right, so that's what this page is about. And the way that I do my teaching is a little multidimensional. So I move between ideas. I go along with whatever is being streamed and coming through in the moment of my live streams. I mean, you will experience it today, right? So, that is what you can expect. Stay with me. If you get lost somewhere, please let me know, ask a question, and I'll go back to that, right? Okay, so are you ready? Let me know. Who? Okay. So just a little bit of a preview of the last month that we just had in terms of what's been happening for us genetic Pathcutters, right? We entered this year, with a lot of energy updates and upgrades happening to those of us who are highly sensitive, those of us who are in this path of healing and doing alchemy work, right? Yes, so we started this year with, feeling exhausted, just feeling laid out, and also actually finding ourselves getting sick. Michelle, I've been hearing a lot of people getting sick from COVID in the community as well as other illnesses, and that's because there are these cosmic upgrades that are happening, right? As we have spoken in the last update that I did about the year 2022, it's a really powerful year that has a lot of energies and portals that are coming through, and a lot of cosmic photonic lights that are coming through that are awakening us, right? And that are helping us heal our DNA and our genetics. So when we are actually going through alchemy transformation, it's interesting because I have to keep reminding my clients of this. We often sometimes get sick, right? We're getting sick because the body is actually releasing the toxins and the inflammations that were stuck. And as they are getting out, there's this need for the body to purge, right? So if you felt sick, you felt weak in the last couple of weeks since we entered the month, that's because of these photonic lights that I'm talking about. It's a purge. And when you are purging, that's actually good, you know, like to get these flu symptoms means that there is something that's coming out that is being released by your genetics, by your DNA, right? So instead of like freaking out, I mean, of course, do take care of yourself and take all the support that you need to feel better, but also recognize that sometimes it's also not just a biological thing happening to the body, it's actually a spiritual thing. Ascension symptoms that are happening that are allowing you to release what has been stuck in your body for a long time, right? So what's very clear is that we are experiencing this year what we call physical ascension, right? So physical ascension, so in the beginning, for most of us, when we awaken, we experience awakening from a mental level, right? When we are reading the books and listening to all the information, to these live streams, you are consolidating information and trying to put it in order so that you can understand the spiritual evolution path and how to take this path, how to evolve, right? So there is a time, a period where you will find yourself wanting to learn more about specific things and wanting to read books and understand why do we do what we do, what is the purpose and what is the point of this, right? And that's great, right? And it depending on who you are, it can take a really long time with you being in that intellectualization of your ascension, of your evolution, spiritual awakening. And then there's going to be a time where you're going to feel the need to actually now take the steps, to actually now implement what you've been learning, to actually transform, right? Transmute these energies. So you have learned a lot about trauma and how trauma is the reason why you are stuck in your shadows or why you've been experiencing suffering, right? And that's great. And then now it gets to a point where you're like, I really need to do something about this. Right? So from the mental body being activated, we then move to the emotional body, where now we want to engage with our emotions. This is now when you feel called to start working with healers, to get a therapist, the psycho-spiritual healer, and. Right? Oh, one moment. I hope this will not. Oh, thank God. So I recently moved into a new house, and so I haven't connected Wi-Fi yet. So I'm using mobile data. So it almost, I just got an update that it's about to finish. So that's what I was doing. Right. So anyway, so we usually move from our mental body doing like collecting information, the spiritual information you need, to the emotional body now, where you start to realize that I really need to deal with my emotional struggles, the difficulties that I do have, right? And then we move into the physical body, right? So this doesn't mean it often happens this way, but for most people, this is often the stage. We go through mental initiation and emotional initiation and then physical initiation. So this year there is a lot of physical initiation happening collectively, as in like we are all being called to really focus on what's happening to the body, and you are going to feel the tension in the body. It's also part of why we've been experiencing diseases in the body, taking COVID as an example, right? The body is wanting to also come along for our spiritual evolution, right? So what I've been finding with the physical ascension is that physical ascension, or when the body now starts being part of your spiritual evolution, it's very intuitive, right? So we don't tell the body to get sick. It gets sick to calm you down, to get you to slow down, so to get you to rest, so that the magic can happen, alchemy can happen, right? And you would find that whenever you are feeling sick, there's a lot of spiritual breakthroughs that we have actually when we're not well, or when the body is exhausted and we allow ourselves to rest, right? So that's what's happening also this year. There's a lot of physicality dealing and working with the physical body. Right? So what's been interesting is that the physical body is part of ourselves that is also very earth oriented. It's about the earth, right? Isn't it that our consciousness measures with this human vessel to have the human experience, right? So because the physical body is earth-based, and it's one of the unique things that makes us, the kingdom that we are, the human kingdom, is the physical body, right? So you would find that, or what I'm finding in the fields right now, there is a deeper awakening, which I call it elemental awakening, right? So elemental awakening is, what may be happening is that we're starting to find ourselves having dreams connected to the elements of earth, right? So this will be water, air, earth, fire, and the ether, spirit. So there are 5 elements. And then we will also find ourselves, so just dreams connected to these elements, or your awareness to these elements. And also the different animal kingdoms. So in animism or earth-based spiritualities like African spirituality, we deeply connect with animal medicine, on how the animals, they don't only just share this planet with us, but they are also part of our ascension, in that they can guide us with our ascension. There is medicine that they give us, right? So that's why in earth-based spirituality we believe a lot in totems, in spirit animals, right? And so what I've been finding is like the spirit animal frequency is alive right now for a lot of people. And so just, if you have not been observing this, just become aware of the animals that are gravitating around you, right? And also just become aware of the animals coming through in your dreamscape, the animals you're dreaming about. And also, literally, if possible, do get, I don't know, but if you could allow yourself to connect with what animal medicine is coming through for you this year, right? On top of, like, typically we will have a totem for those who are like from specific tribes. In Africa, we have specific totems, right, that speak to us and speak to our people. And then you will have your own spirit animal. There's an animal that will walk with you throughout this entire lifetime, right? And then we may have an animal that is coming through for a season, like an animal coming through for the year, right? So awakening to that, because we need extra support right now. The body needs extra support, right? So if you're not sure on how to do that, I mean, a lot of the time you can literally request for information on what your spirit animal is. I have an incredible story of how that came to be, how I discovered my spirit animal a long time ago, like 5 or 6 years ago. I was at the gym, and I just had this thought, like, and I sent this information to spirit, that spirit, before I leave this mall, the gym is at the mall, I want to see a picture of my spirit animal. It was crazy. And I actually left the gym and I kept looking, wondering if I would see a picture. And I knew also this is ridiculous because it's not like that pictures of animals everywhere. I actually didn't say a picture. I just said I want to see my spirit animal, which is like where you're going to see a spirit animal in the mall. But anyway, I did that. And then I forgot about it because the mall is huge. I forgot about it. And I went into a shop, grocery shop. And I paid. And as I was paying, I just looked up. And right in front of me was this whole calendar just with elephants everywhere. And they were just looking at me. And I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe Spirit showed me my spirit animal. Not with a physical elephant, but a picture of an elephant. And that's how I came to know my spirit animal. So you can actually ask Spirit. Like, Spirit, what's my spirit animal? And you can even give Spirit a deadline. Say, before end of today, I must know it. You must show it with me, something that is so visible, like that, right? Otherwise, we can also just literally go get an oracle, a shaman, to support you with that, either through a journey, a totem journey, or they could just also see it in the fields for you, right? So we need that support. So why would we want to care about like spirit animals? Because, so for example, for me, I understand why the elephant is my spirit animal, because it's about family, it's about this feminine frequency, motherly frequency that it has, and it's in your face. You cannot ignore an elephant. A little like me. That's why it's my totem animal, right? So that has been really powerful and healing to my journey, for me to accept that I do have this motherly energy. I'm family oriented or community oriented. I want all of us to go together in our journeys and so on, right? And also the elephant. So what's interesting is, in my journey, I've had other animals coming through, but the elephant recently came back with this full force, right? And you'd find that when we think about the energy of 2022, it being about family foundations, we are kind of going back to the basic principle of awakening, right? So there's a point where we awaken and then we shoot and we go all the way to cosmic awakening and star consciousness and whatever consciousnesses you've been exploring, right? And it gets exciting, and that's usually because also we are in a spiritual ascension. But now, the frequency this year is a need to kind of come back to the foundations, right? The simplicity of your awakening. Why are you awakening? Why are you in this journey? Why are you listening to me right now? Like, what has led you to this? What part of your soul feels like you need to be engaging with spiritual information, right? And at the core of it is very simply that this is the path of your evolution. This is how you will go to the next point of who you are as a human being, right? So are you with me? Let me sip. Are you with me? Are you following? Right. So those are the questions that you want to invite yourself to contemplate on them. Right. So February is the second month. This month, generally, for this year, is a very powerful spiritual month where there is a lot happening, and what is really happening is that there are a lot of portals, right? So portals are a long time ago, they used to actually literally be gates, like actual gates that connect our world with other worlds, right? So we call these stargates or portals, right? And these stargates, they are still around, but now they have moved to be more energetic. So not necessarily that we need to go through a gate and walk into another world with it, the other worlds of the other forms of creation that exist, but there are portals everywhere. So an example of a portal is, for example, a river has a portal inside it. A mountain, a hill, has a portal inside of it. This is why during initiations you would be led to these spaces, because these portals are gateways that connect our world with the spirit world. And when we go to these portals, we are able to see more and experience more and engage with energies from the other world. And so at this point, we understand that as above, so below. So things that are happening today here, right now, they are streaming from the other worlds, the spirit worlds, right? So there isn't anything that is happening collectively that is just based on human beings making those choices. We are influenced greatly by what is happening in the spirit world. And right now in the spirit world, there is what we call spiritual warfare. And that spiritual warfare is coming down here and influencing what's happening right now in planet Earth. Right? So it's not random, right? So we are awakening to these polarities, different energies that are existing in our reality, like the dark and the light, and so on, right? So in February, there is a lot of intensity coming through, right? It's this month is holding a vibration of 2, which is the vibration of union, right? And for those who know, I talk about how union is one of the most important, powerful templates in our earth for two beings to come together, right? And these two beings to get in union with each other, to create a new family, to create a new bloodline. That is what really gets our world existing and continuing, right? It's union itself. So this is the month of union. And when we're having a month of union, there are a lot of portals that are opening with a lot of information and upgrades to support us in our own individual unions, right? So depending on where you are in terms of your union, whether you are already with your union partner or you are seeking, there is a lot of information that's going to come this month. I mean, this is also the Valentine month, right? Around unions, around intimate relationships, right? And so for those who are spiritually gifted, union is almost like the most powerful template you could ever activate is to get in union, right? Because there are some specific people who, when they are together in union, they literally could light up entire cities and change and transform. And right now, there is an awakening. I'm feeling an awakening in both the feminine and the masculine, where we are rising and moving beyond the shadows of the masculine and the shadows of the feminine, and wanting to finally really come into conversations around how can we be in healthy union with each other, how can we step into our roles as union partners who are holding the rod and staff. Like, we have a mission that we're supposed to do together as union partners, right? So how can we do that? This is, of course, taking into account the world that we do come from, which is the world where we've had the shadow masculine, the patriarchal system that has really fragmented and wounded the masculine, and that has led to that system oppressing and suppressing the feminine in our planet, right? So these are conversations, obviously, we have to really think deeply about and understand that patriarchy influences our union relationships, and we have to start thinking more of how do we release the control of what we were taught about women and men, or just generally around unions, right? How can we get into unions that are organic? How can we get into unions that are fulfilling to us as individuals, right? So a lot of us, we don't really think much about the unions we get into. We just think that they're happening randomly. Of course, they are not. There's nothing that happens randomly, right? We are magnetizing specific frequencies, relationships. Certain people will come into our lives because there is something that they are here to teach us. There is something that here to mirror back to us so that we can understand a lesson, right? They are our karmic soulmates, and there is a contract that we have with them that we need to fulfill, and so many other reasons why you are with the person that you are in. And it's so, but what's important is to know that it's not random, and what's important is to come into a deeper understanding that you are actually in control, more in control of the union that you are in. You are the one co-creating it. Of course, there is divine will. Of course, there is levels in which we are not really consciously choosing, but there is also where you are consciously choosing what kind of union you're going to be having, right? So I am seeing that there is this greater awakening that's happening around unions. And that greater awakening is actually happening because there is this awakening happening to our men, which is really exciting for those of us who are called to be kingmakers. You know, that's specific lineages, spiritual lineages of priestesses, oracles, that they have a code, a template, a blueprint to create kings, you know. And we can't create kings if they're not waking up to the fact that they're kings, right? But if you go in African spirituality, this idea of king making is big. It's important because through us creating kings, organic kings that really fully care about the collective, we will begin to dissolve issues we're seeing in our communities and so on, right? So there is an awakening of the masculine, but that awakening of the masculine, the feminine, I want to speak to you right now, right? Us as the feminine holder, we hold so much power in guiding how the family continues, how the family experiences each other. The feminine hasn't yet tapped into its power, its ability to change entire lineages, to influence the masculine, right? And that's important for us to awaken to that as we are thinking of deepening the relationships that we are in, right? So because of the patriarchy, we got to the point of fearing ourselves as the feminine because we got so suppressed so much. But now there is a healing happening, a miraculous healing, a divine dispensation by Spirit that is allowing us to finally step into knowing that as organic, natural priestesses, I mean, all women are priestesses. I mean, just naturally we are intuitive. And then there's those, of course, who that template is big in terms of like being a priestess and oracle and shaman and all the amazing things that women are. But generally, we are intuitive, we feel, we know things, right? And so we need to lean into that. This month, we need to lean into that because February is going to bring a lot of spiritual information for our evolution, for the next part of who you are meant to be, how you are meant to be in relationships, how you are meant to heal your body, how you are meant to engage with resources, right? To engage with your purpose, to engage with money, with support, and to do your healing work in the world, right? Are you with me? Let me drink. I can go quite deep, yeah. Whew. So, all this sounds exciting, but we know that there is a difference between hearing a concept like you are actually meant to be in union, the feminine and the masculine are destined to be together in happily ever after, right? Because it cannot just be that easy because of our history and where we come from. So what has been happening is, this is something you can request, by the way. You can request Source God to support you with this, to say, God, I want and desire a union like this. I will want to step into a union like this, or I will want to work on my union right now as it is for it to go to this level. Right? So you can speak to Spirit and request this, and then as you are requesting this, the Spirit will not just give you the thing you desire without asking you to remove all the obstructions, all the things that could possibly stop you from receiving that, right? So what has been happening with me, because I did that request, I was like, Spirit, bring the union, I'm ready. I did all the work. And Spirit was like, okay, sure, but first look at this, right? So what's been happening in my dreams since January, and it's continuing and it's intensifying actually since February, it's that every night I dream of my different men in my life, and some of them are no longer actively in my life. And I'm dreaming around the energies and the way that I used to be in those relationships. And these are not necessarily intimate relationships. Some of them are like family, friends, and just the masculine in general is just coming through right now for me. And not only am I engaging with what happened, I'm also engaging with things that on a conscious level, I don't remember them ever happening. So what this means is that I am actually seeing past timelines, things that have happened between my soul and a specific masculine soul. And I'm healing these. And I'm not really doing anything in these dreams. It's just almost as if I'm observing them and I'm experiencing them. And I can feel the patch the next day when I wake up, like, ooh, I didn't know. For example, one of the big things that I didn't know is my lack of agency, like lack of the ability to be like, do I want this or not? So this is something that was big for me, because I didn't know that I don't have that agency. And that when I'm in a relationship automatically, which I think most women can connect to, where you just assume whatever the masculine desires, I have to go meet the masculine wherever it is, even if I could be compromising myself. But the interesting thing being that we have this program that doesn't even question, that thinks that's normal, right? We think that it's normal, for example, to wait for the masculine to call us, even though we want to call them. You know, I don't know, Hollywood messed us up because we're watching all these rom-coms and we kind of like want to replay those rom-coms. Those rom-coms, there is a little bit of truth in them, but there is also distortions. And those distortions is how agency is taken from the feminine, where the feminine is all constantly waiting, right? We're constantly waiting. And it's not just in unions, but in life, you're constantly waiting for someone. And that's a frequency of the version of the feminine, which we call the maiden. Right, this uninitiated aspect of ourselves who is waiting for what do we call it, the prince in shining armor or the king in shining armor, that to come and like save you from the situation, right? And without recognizing, you have agency without recognizing that, yes, there is where the masculine is stronger and able to do certain things, but there's also agency that you do have, particularly intuitive agency. And so our intuitive agency right now is so active. This year, altogether, if you're a genetic pathcutter, you are going to be having a really accelerated intuitive edges. You're going to know things before the night. The night in shining armor. Yes, I knew I was not saying it correctly. Yes. So we're going to have these intuitive, accelerated intuitive nudges, and so forth. What's been interesting for me in my work as a healer, as an oracle. So what I'm finding, for those who were here when I started, remember how I was like, there are different levels of ascension we go through. So what I've been finding is, because I think a lot of us were exhausted after this whole 2020, 2021, mentally, right? So when I'm doing my sessions with my clients, sometimes I'm feeling resistance from my clients, and they're like, Joy, nothing is coming out. I'm not seeing anything. The inner child is like, I don't want to talk about it. I'm done. I'm overwhelmed by this. So then I start to add in somatic movement, moving the body, right? And once I start moving the body, something beautiful happens. Where suddenly higher consciousness comes through and it just starts to do and offer its messages, and I'm like, oh, So Spirit wants me to just lay back, even as a guide, so that Spirit can do its work. So what I'm saying is, we are at a point where something feels like the cosmos wants to do something, and it wants us humans to literally stop interfering with that process, right? As in, like, stop trying to swim so fast and get there. I want to heal as quickly as possible. Spirit is like, relax, child. Let us do the thing, you know? So, because February is highly active, energetically, photonic light active, we need to get out of Spirit's way. So what does that mean? Just literally sleep. Just do your simple meditation without them having an agenda, you know, and just see what's active, what's alive in you, and then that's what you work with, right? So I've been finding a resistance to dig. Like, our souls are like, no, we don't want to talk about that. It already happened. Let's move forward. This is what we want to do. This is what we want to deal with, right? So that's the invitation for us as genetic pathcutters, to observe that constantly Spirit is trying to dispense information to us, the next step for us, and to just let that be where we're supposed to go. Thank you so much, Windeka. That is so sweet. Yeah. So yes, warriors. So just let Spirit do its work, and you will get where you are meant to get. You are always on time, always where you're meant to be, even if it doesn't feel that way, right? So another thing I wanted to talk about, because I saw this happening recently, we passed through the 2/2/2022 portal, right? Did you notice that? The 2nd of February 2022. We call that a portal because there is cosmic alignment on particular numerological days like that. And to experience that many twos in a day, that's a big frequency, right? And that allows us to do a lot of clearings and healing. We can collapse things that we've been stuck in for thousands of lifetimes, right? So if you didn't notice, that is a 222, because I saw people kind of like saying, oh, if you miss this portal, ooh, okay, good luck. No, Spirit, because I was like, Spirit, I don't feel like this is okay. Why we say this? And Spirit's like, no, you're right, Joy. Every portal, whether you are aware of it or not, it will always impact you, and it will always lead you to the next level you are supposed to go to, right? If you are not aware of it, that means you are not supposed to be aware of it. You are not yet at the point where you require it to be in your mind that, oh, it's the 222, let me go do something, let me go ask, you know, whatever people feel like they need to be doing in the portals in these big days, you know. So basically what I'm trying to say is this desire to always do big things during full moons, portals, or maybe Pluto just went into Capricorn, so I have to go do something. We don't have to, actually. Your soul is constantly doing it whether you are aware of it or not, right? Is there value, of course, in being aware of it? Sure, definitely. Except I've noticed if you are meant to be aware of it, you will be aware of it, and you will be led to be aware of it, right? So I felt like, especially some of my students were like, yo, Joy, you didn't tell us about the 0202, or what am I supposed to do today? And I'm like, I'm just watching Netflix, I don't know, like, I wasn't told to do anything, and I don't think anything was gonna collapse, right? And then there are times where I'm like, I have to do something, I feel it in my bone, my soul is like, yeah, this portal is important. Go and pray, go and do this process, go and whatever, right? So I just want you to release this idea that, ooh, I'm left behind. Yo, everyone has done some stuff. Oh, me, I missed this portal that's never going to come back in the next 1,000 years. I mean, right? Yeah, did you guys feel that? Yeah, so It's okay if you were watching Netflix the entire portal day. Because I was watching Netflix that day. I remember it very well. And I was very aware of the 02. And I asked my higher self, what am I supposed to do? And it's like, just chill. You're good. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to chill. So yes, warriors, these are the updates I wanted to share with you. We are doing physical ascension right now, so please take care of your body. Really, truly move it. But also, more than anything, sleep and rest. Just allow yourself to rest. Yeah. Right? And so something that's been really active is, like I said, for those who can, start working with the elements, right? As in, like, go wake up and go sit in the sun for 10 minutes. You have no idea what that will do to your DNA. Yeah, exactly. We don't always have to. Go sit under the sun. Go and, talk to the trees. Contemplate on the spirit animals. Call on them, like ask them for their medicine and so on. But like more than anything, I think, so one last thing I wanted to talk about is I'm noticing that there is this full cycle thing that we are also coming to, right? It's almost as if you have this awakening and then shoot, you go up. And then when you get there, you come back and you go back to where you were before. This is not a regression of some kind. It's actually because there's a saying that before enlightenment, you chop the wood, you put the food, you feed the kids. After enlightenment, you chop the wood, you put on the fire, the food, and you feed the kids. So people think that when we come into like a spiritual awakening, we're supposed to transform and become these big magical beings all the time. And there could be times where that does happen, where you are like just engaging and you are all in the magic and the cosmos. And then after a while, you're like, yo, but I still have to go chop my wood and feed myself, right? But also what I mean by this is, depending on what kind of awakening you had, particularly in the last 2 years, in 2020 and 2021, and now here, what I'm seeing is like there's this full cycle somehow coming back, where maybe you had this big dark night of the soul that kind of like shook you and you didn't know where to go after that. Now there is an energy of, okay, we just wanted you to know this information, to awaken to this. Now just go back to chopping the wood, So what I'm finding is the little pleasures of life that you used to love, they are asking to return, to awaken, right? So for the feminine, there's a frequency around beauty coming back, around creativity, around just communion, and so on, that's coming back, right? Yes. So the mundane is coming back, yes, definitely. So don't freak out when this is happening, because maybe you went through your big initiation, maybe you went through your oracular or shamanic initiation, whatever it is that happened, and then you just thought maybe you'd always be chilling up there in the stars, and now it's like, no, Spirit still wants me to go teach in this high school. I thought I was supposed to leave the high school, and Spirit is like, you were never ever in the wrong place. You were always clearly a teacher, right? And anything you went through does not take from who you've always been. It is supposed to amplify and add and bring more clarity and deeper understanding. As in, you were always on purpose, right? And you always be on purpose. And if your purpose is returning you to something that you thought you moved through and it's no longer your purpose, don't freak out. That's what's happening. You were always on purpose, right? Just now you have this deeper awareness and added information, which is good, right? So yeah, that is the update that I wanted to share with you all. Besides this collective update, little bit of an update tomorrow. Not tomorrow, on Tuesday. This coming week, I will be sharing my latest offering that I am offering genetic pathcutters, those who are ready to become practitioners or who are already practitioners and they want to deepen that skill set and so on. And so they're ready to do that with me. So I will be sharing this on Instagram as well. Obviously, it will be in my website. So just expect this. Check my page out in the coming week, and if it's activating you, I hope to see you there. If you're like, another time, that's also great. Share with whoever you think may be aligned with that. I will appreciate that really well. Yeah. And yeah, that's the main update that I wanted to share with you all. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, everyone. I hope that this was helpful. Yes. Okay. Bye, my loves.